economic, societal, and government upheaval, so you can stay ahead of the changes in our world and keep your family safe. Fortunately for us, we can recognize that we're at the precipice, a point in history where we can all see the cycle changing. Where we go from here is up to us. So let's start the conversation, and welcome to the show.
And wherever you are on this beautiful blue planet, give thanks today for another breath. And be grateful for the things you have at your fingertips that you take for granted that so many don't, across the mountain regions of parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, and especially North Carolina. What you're not seeing on the national news is a disaster that is going to redefine America. When people find out exactly the magnitude of damage that's not being reported. If you can envision something that is so disastrous that a flood comes through a village and you take it in your mind to, oh, I can't believe that is the biggest amount of damage I've ever seen from a flood. And you need to multiply that by 30 to 50 to 70 times in some places in these mountain areas. Small streams, which were 5 feet across, are now 200-foot scoured gorges. Entire towns washed away. Because when you come up from a valley, you generally have the 2-lane road, and you build next to that road. And anything else going up, you need to have it on stilts. Or you cut through the mountain to make a flat area. That water came down so deep and so fast and filled that entire valley of every single mountain there that has a valley, a stream, a river, a creek, a tributary, into, when I say once in 1,000 years of flood water all coming down at the same time, it is 1.5 times more than any other known storm on the planet that has ever rained, ever. Trillions of gallons came down. 1.5 trillion to be exact. The subsequent other storms that followed, the trailing lines of thunderstorms. It is very, very difficult to even know what amount of people are still alive up there that need the help. The devastation is so far beyond even a Hollywood movie in terms of how many people are still trapped in the mountains. And it is such a limited response coming from those state officials, those United States officials. You need to send more people down there. There's grossly at 1/5 of 1/8 of 1,000th of 1% really of what they need, even to get the logistics started and get a hub started. There's not enough helicopters. They need more horses. They need more pack animals. They need llamas, alpacas, horses if they can, donkeys and mules even better. We're going back old school, and you know what's so strange about this is beyond helicopter, which is our modern era advantage. Many people have taken horses. I've seen so many mule trains that have brought ice up to people who needed it for, like some of their insulin and things. Refrigerators are gone. There's people delivering medical supplies or getting together as community. Old school. And not only old school with community, but old school with values and morals, and old school of using horses and pack animals and pack mules to get supplies up the mountains. There's no roads left anywhere. Anything that had a road next to a stream is completely gone. It is not there anymore. There's no more road. We have just reversed the clock to 1860 across western North Carolina and parts of Tennessee. I really can't even put it into your perspective. I can't even paint this picture for you unless you do and listen and watch. It is deep, and it is absolutely going to shake the core of our country here. And that is a no BS assessment. I absolutely can quantify that our country has been rolled back to the 1860s in Appalachia. The roads are gone. How long will it take to replace the roads? Anything with water. Water pipes busted. The immensity of the torrents. And I'm not even going to say flood waters or flood torrents that have stripped and gouged the land back to gorges and bedrock where cities and towns once stood. And the response is all citizens trying to help themselves. And that's the best thing about this. You know, if you can find something negative in a very bad situation, the best thing that I have seen is citizens, peoples, communities are coming back together to help each other during this time. Like all those other things kind of fall to the wayside. What's your pronoun? What's your politic? Doesn't matter. I'm trying to stay alive. The response up there is, and if I might continue just for a second, Ransom, like we have been sold a bill of nothingness. We have bought the Brooklyn Bridge because there was about 360 mobile electrical generation units or mobile substations that they could move around in emergencies, but we sent them all over to Ukraine. And now we don't have enough repair for our own states right now, and they need the power so badly. Their generators are gone, line gone, mobile gone. It's all been sent overseas. So now we don't have anything for our own electrical emergency infrastructure, even just band-aiding, if that's a term, or full-on repair, which is going to take quite some time. Again, substations, they're completely wiped away, like down to nothing. The bolts that is keeping them into the concrete has disappeared. It's been scoured that much. Entire substations gone. Bridges gone. Homes gone. Neighborhoods, parts of neighborhoods gone. It is so vast. And now we come to the real tonight's program. And, we're going to have to cut the feed on YouTube here when we move forward after, I'm done here and Ransom can speak for a minute, because I'm unequivocally saying we are at a juncture in history that I cannot see that we've seen many times before. The sheer size and magnitude of this disaster, and then people trying to help others in their local community, are now being told they cannot. So I'll read you a direct quote here before we get on here, and this comes from Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, correct title, TEMA. They said TEMA and FEMA personnel are not confiscating supplies. This is a tweet from them here on the Tennessee EMA, at Tennessee EMA, if you're following on X. Any report to the contrary is false. So I'm reporting the news as I'm reading it here. I'm going to take both sides, and it's very important that we look at all the information tonight. This tipping point that's happening in America is this. I cannot believe it is at the South again. Thanks to overwhelming support from the community, we are continuing a coordinated recovery effort with local leaders to get supplies to Tennesseans in need. Please visit the website to learn where you can volunteer or donate today. And I'm thinking, awesome, you know what? I am motivated. I want to help my people around here, so I am going to run up and volunteer and donate. But again, the statement, TEMA officials originally posted this statement online. While local communities appreciate the volunteer spirit during disasters, please do not send donations that have not been requested by state or local authorities. I'm on ham radio at the top of a mountain, and I found a repeater that finally works, and I'm able to get a hold of somebody, and I need help. I'm not waiting for state or local authorities. You are talking to me as one individual on the other side of that radio that needs help. And if I have a chance to go up there with friends of mine, neighbors of mine, and talk to you directly, and maybe you got kids, you need the diapers, you need the formula, maybe somebody has a medical issue, they need different medicines, food, water, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm talking one-on-one to another person to try to help them, and that is being denied right now. I got a lot more firsthand accounts are coming in of people saying that they're not being able to get into regions or being able to deliver. So again, walking the thread here. And again, I'm just talking about TEMA's news release. TEMA is not accepting volunteers or donations until the life safety mission is complete. Wait, did you not just said to learn where you can volunteer or donate today? And then they tell you, we can't do a thing until the next one, maybe. They want you to donate directly to FEMA, of course. FEMA works with TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Organizations Active in Disaster, TOVAD. So what is this mixed messaging that we're getting here? I'm going to read through a bunch of the comments tonight that I've been surfing through the day. And also, as I was listening to Repeater, if you go to Broadcastify, you can listen to a couple that repeaters that are live currently. So the newest information I had just minutes before the show here, Mount Mitchell repeater on Echo Lake checking in now. Also, West Piedmont repeater antenna broke off during the storm, but there are those with antenna on the way up to West Piedmont repeater, which will then be able to link. So that's the whole thing about getting the ham network up. And see, ham is not, it's individuals setting a network up that want to prepare for things just like this, and they're the only ones in town with information, with coordinates, with rally locations, with the items that they need to be delivered up there. But nobody wants to listen. They just come rolling in with their big old 30-train wagons with their little red lights on it like it's some choo-choo set with an ego attached to every single helmet. It's our scene now. Wait, you don't even know the first thing about the mountain. You don't know where the hollers are. You don't know anything. Well, we're looking at a map. You're out here. Don't let anybody pass in. Like, what are you? You know, it's that same kind of mentality that is now. There's different areas that are under control that are literally under federal control where you cannot go in. They actually took over a whole area, and if you go in, it's federal laws you're breaking because they took federal control over it. Oh, also, if I may, this is YouTube. If you're listening, this is a public service announcement from the American Red Cross. And this is for North Carolina and emergency situations in East Tennessee. We do not label blood products as containing vaccinated or unvaccinated blood, as the COVID-19 vaccine does not enter the bloodstream and poses no safety risk to the recipient. If you have safety concerns about potential blood transfusions, please speak with your medical care team. Unquote, from the American Red Cross. I would leave that there, but there are rally points, and as we come through tonight, I do want to read some of the things. Now, Ransom, I don't know if you're hearing about what's going on out here, because it sure isn't making very much national news, and it is a travesty beyond all travesty. Everybody at anything in FEMA, you're all fired. You work for us. You are all fired, and we as locals are going to take care of this situation. All of them are gone. None of them should have a position after this at all. And those associated associations and agencies that are with that are coordinating around the edges. Also, you've dropped the ball so greatly. I don't even know if there's a ball that you ever had to drop. You all should resign, and there should be absolute closure of these agencies. They're doing nothing. They're not there. How can they possibly receive funding if there's only a few? It's almost as if it's an illusion, sort of in The Wizard of Oz, where you have this sheet of 10 or 20, 30 people running around trying to tell everybody else, you have to believe me, now do this. But it's only 30 or 40 people. And they might just come into a hotel and take over a whole hotel and pretend like it's a base station and be like, you have to listen to us now because there's 40 people living in the same hotel. And it's just a mirage of you have to listen to us. But then they have all these people below them going, yeah, we have to listen to them. We have to listen. You have to listen to them. But wait. It's the Wizard of Oz pulling the strings. Ransom, welcome. Dude, I know I rambled on the beginning there, but I really want you to know how crazy it is out here. And we need more news coverage, and we need more people talking, and we need more resources, and we need more help. Truly, truly, truly. Everybody, please tell somebody you know if you're listening to this that we need more help out here. So, Ransom, please go.
Yeah, I don't want to get us put in jail right away.
Ooh.
Right? So here in a minute, I will put the links to Rumble and Twitch and Twitter and whatever into the universal chat thing that goes out to all the feeds that have chat.
Yeah, and we'll
But
cut this one because I want to go deep, man. I really want to go deep on this episode.
right, but before we get there, it's pretty obvious to say without, getting any law enforcement upset about what I'm saying that if you listen to last Thursday's broadcast, I literally, like a psychic, told you what was going to happen. I told you that you had to help yourself. I told you no one was going to come to help you. I told you it was going to be like Katrina. I told you the government's after the fact reporters and don't do anything when it comes to the actual event that you would need said help from. And I've been seeing, I've been arguing the last couple of days with kind of more leftist state worshiping people that oh, you're wrong, the federal government is helping as best as they can and all of this other stuff. I've been watching in detail from the people that live there. Who cares what the authoritative sources are saying? Ask the people that live there. They're all over the interwebs. They're all over. You think all of those people are lying? No, they're not. And the crazy, horrible, terrifying things that they're saying are most likely real. And I think soon there's going to be a lot of censorship to cover up what is visible from this event, which amounts to a giant red streak of voters in the middle of the country that have been proven just like before. It's not the first time. It's not like we, shame on me or whatever, like Bush says, shame on me, blame it on me. No, that's not the saying. Is it fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice? That's shame on me again, because that's the way I am. So I'm going to say it backwards. But, some people get fooled once, but you shouldn't be fooled again, right? The
Who said that too in a famous song? Don't get fooled again.
Right? Well, I'm joking around and saying it messed up on purpose, like old George Bush, who was in charge of, ironically, the last episode that you should have, fooled me once right there and figured it out, that FEMA is not really interested in your safety. If they were, they would be working on proactive steps to increase the infrastructure, actually have aid in places where you don't have to ship it everywhere, where the whole, country has to worry about giving it. And then on top of that, the after the fact reporters are not going to share credit with anybody that's actually doing the on the ground work, right? They're not going to say, hey, look at all of these wonderful people that save people and brought stuff. They don't want to do that. They want to get up there like they do every time, and you'll have some kind of law enforcer stand there representing their agency, and what do they do first? Do they say, it's a shame what's happening, we're sending help? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to say, I'd like to thank so-and-so from the so-and-so, and I'd like to thank Deputy so-and-so and the administration. We got to thank them, and let's thank the head of FEMA, and let's thank everybody and talk about what a good job we've done and pat ourselves on the back on national TV after you guys ignored it for like 3 or 4 days, just like Katrina. You remember famously Kanye West had his song, I don't know, but she's a gold digger, and he added a little verse there, and it kind of went famous. I think we all know what I'm talking about, that George Bush doesn't care about a certain kind of people. Well, it wasn't that. It was that, just not what the guy said it was. It was George Bush don't care about the American people because, look, they're just not caring. They're not doing anything. But it was an excuse for them to grab more power, put more money into their agencies. So, convincing the public that next time, don't worry, next time we'll be prepared because this happened and we took all your money, your trillions and trillions of dollars. So next time we'll take care of you. But then next time happens, and guess what happens? They're arguing that they're broke. They spent too much money on different programs that are irrelevant to the American people. Overseas, here and domestically, we just spend, but not on anything that elevates or makes the American people have a better lifestyle and be safer and more free. Not once, not never, and it still hasn't happened. And this is a good example of that. And just like, unfortunately, like I said, not to be Nostradamus, but last Thursday we told you, if you don't know the topographical situation there, you might want to be figuring that out. You might want to be figuring out where the high ground's at. You might want to figure out what you're going to be drinking for the next week. We talked about the whole thing, the power outages, the loss of life, unfortunately, that may or may not happen. Now we know it's happening, and it's happening big time. Look at all those people, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to trash them, because some of the situations, it didn't matter if you were prepared for or not. It just didn't matter. When a 15-foot of wall is coming at you with the pressure of an entire hurricane's dumping water. But we did talk about it. Flash flooding in the areas. If you live in valleys or mountains or anywhere where water can accumulate, you better know how to get out. And then I'm looking on, the interwebs, and I'm seeing people sitting in floodwaters in their houses waiting for help. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I did mention it last week that there would be a massive amount of people that are deer in the headlights, and they're waiting for the government to come help them, or Superman or Batman or whoever they were expecting to come that is not coming. You have to help yourself always and forever. And that means, unfortunately, you have to think into the future and prepare yourself for the unimaginable, which all of these people are now dealing with. But I guarantee you, there's a large portion of country boys that just got wet, and they went out there and gathered up all their stuff, and they started right away, making a fire and making themselves comfortable and finding what food there was, and they're probably helping their neighbors out. You're not hearing about any of those stories because the whole swath, like an eighth of the U.S. is kind of cut off from the world, despite all of the Starlinks going in there. Those people didn't know that Starlink was, they don't have internet, so how would they know that they're distributing internet everywhere unless they stumbled across it or, heard it word of mouth. So this whole situation.
Or heard it on ham radio.
Right.
Heard it on ham radio.
Right. If they were prepared and were thinking about stuff like that. I do have a ham radio. It's the old school, what is it, a Hummerland or Hammerland or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know how to use it. I have a book that tells me how to use it. And see, I'm way behind.
You need to practice, man.
Right, I know. And I was thinking maybe I should just go digital and forget trying to learn that old stuff. But guess what? After all the digital crap got wet, that old stuff there can be dried and cleaned, and all the tubes can be cleaned, and you can put it back together. If you have a book that tells you how, or you already know how. But the point is that, even with thinking about all of the stuff that you could possibly think about, thinking about all of the things that can, possibly be inevitable, like, I don't know, a hurricane rolling into the U.S. It's not like it hasn't happened before. Matter of fact, it happened in 1916 and again in 1958, right up that same area, flooding all of those same people. But I guarantee you the general population didn't know that. They had no idea that historically, every once in a while, a hurricane will roll right into inland and dump massive amounts of, converted ocean water right on them, and there's no place for it to go, especially if it's, rained essentially the average amount that it does in an area. The ground is now full of water, and there's no place for that water to go but on top, which means pushing against your houses, your buildings, your cars. A lot of people have built their home on high ground, but then again, I go to places like in Colorado and different places, they have a lot of nice houses, but guess what? They're right on the edge of the river today. And the river today is obviously not where you want to put your house. You want to put the house on the furthest point that you could see geologically in history. It's flooded. So in other words, you want your house to be all the way up where there's no evidence of flooding. Unfortunately, you're in what we call out west an arroyo, which is basically a big ditch which fills with water immediately because the surrounding ground is either super dry where it won't let any water penetrate in, or it's already saturated, in which case you get a similar effect, which is just large amounts of water moving along the top of the ground, washing away whatever's in its path. The unfortunate part about this is that I was so right. We were right about every detail of this in advance. Last Thursday when we were talking about when it was first hitting the coast, that this was going to be exactly the case. And I even mentioned Katrina multiple times because that's exactly what this is. It's a giant, incompetent deadly mess. And with that, I'll switch over and turn off the YouTube so we could talk about a little more graphic stuff. But if you could keep it peaceful for another 5 minutes while I set up some, tell all the audiences the links to Rumble and Twitch and etc., so they can continue listening if they want to.
And I'll continue on with the substations, because getting heavy equipment up there, as I've seen in many a county, all of their Department of Transportation equipment was also washed away in the flood or extremely damaged to the point of it's salvageable. If it wasn't washed away completely to we can't find it anymore, it went down the river, of a truck or a dozer or some kind of excavator or whatever is there for Department of Transportation that they would need, salt clearing plows, this sort of stuff. The plows would be useful now also just to push a bunch of debris out of the way, not just for snow, but to push anything off the road. But there was massive floods that came through all those DOT yards also. So the equipment's gone. So they're waiting for equipment to bring into that, to actually get to the roads that they could have, they don't even have the equipment. They're waiting to get equipment in so then they can go do what they would have done off the bat had they had the equipment. So we're like 2 steps back getting heavy equipment up into there anyway to do real road anything, but there's really not much road left. That's the whole thing that I'm trying to get back is all the infrastructure we put in place, like let's say from the TVA projects in the 1930s up until now in North Carolina, has been washed away to a great extent. And all what you consider the moderns, like modern piping, conduit, this sort of thing, also just mangled and ripped out of the earth violently. The telephone poles, the lines up there, the fiber optic cables, that you should see some of these just ghostly pictures of just things dangling in the air that don't make sense how they got so twisted and are still just dangling there and not falling to the ground. Like what is this woven dispersion inside broken 100-year-old oak trees, and then you have a telephone pole dangling that's been ripped out by the bottom on these cables in the middle of the road above you. I wouldn't really want to drive under that, but it is in the fog, no less. Like these kind of ghostly images. Regardless of that even being built, they're going to have to rebuild almost every single, and I'm not going to say every, but almost every single road in Western North Carolina will have to be rebuilt from scratch, from the ground up, with the surveyors there, with the packing equipment to level it and then resurface it. Literally every single road. Even if you had a four-wheeler, it would be very difficult to get up there. You are only going in by pack mule. I'm telling you, if you're not walking. And here's the thing, old school, everybody would know the old logging roads and old access trails anyway. Like it'd be way better to walk up an old logging road that even if it has some growth on it, than it would be to try to walk